Welcome back to the Leader Podcast.
Happy
Cheers
Monday.
and good morning. Yep.
Hope your coffee is strong.
Yeah.
I hope you had a great day at church yesterday.
Fantastic.
Or not, if you weren't there.
I might have been on vacation. I don't even remember.
Maybe. We don't even know when this episode's dropping. We're just talking
Yeah.
vaguely.
Right. About the future.
Yeah.
Or in the past. We're talking about the past in the future. It doesn't work. I don't know.
It does if you don't talk about it.
If you don't think about it.
So moving
It's
on.
Inception.
Let's do leader shout out.
Leader shout out. Hey, we've been talking about how to lead intentionally, how to lead mentally. The first one wasn't
Predictably.
Predictably. Same difference.
Yeah.
How to lead relationally, how to lead. I'm tanking here. Randomly. Thank you. I got
You want
it.
me to say it?
No, I got it
Okay,
now.
great.
Well, you might have to recap because now I just messed them all up. But today we're talking about how to lead digitally. Wanted to give a leader shout out to Leanne Ebert. Leanne kind of joined our team in a role that's not widely publicized and hasn't really truly been built. Like we have a job description for it, but we just kind of handed it over and said, "Hey,
What's the role?
Make this your own." Well, we don't have a good name for it. It's called like community builder. I don't remember. It's like a room mother.
Well,
right?
Leanne is the best community builder room mother we've ever had.
So what she did is that she's in Catherine Winstead's small group in that capacity. She shows up to co-lead when she can. Leanne travels a lot, so she doesn't have a super regular schedule in there, but she wanted to be invested. So she jumped into Catherine's group and just immediately started making that role her own. So she does a lot of the writing of notes and, stuff like that. Catherine also does her fair share of that. But Leanne took it upon herself to build group me's for all of the junior high girl groups so that they would have a digital expression, a digital way to communicate to all their kids at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, super big.
Good job,
super
Leanne.
shout out. Yeah, and way better, can we just say, than a group chat that you don't really want to be in. You could just be like Tim Smith and mute your group me and have your spouse tell you all the things. So, maybe kids mute you, maybe they don't, but having that opportunity to communicate to your whole group at once in a digital way is really great.
And Tim, you'll never guess what people were saying about you in the group meeting. You'll never know, but it was crazy.
Great.
Check it out. So we've talked about all the different ways to show up, and today we want to talk about the power of showing up digitally, right? Hold on, my slideshow just died on me.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, bing.
Back. Showing up digitally.
Which I think sometimes leaders can be nervous about.
Yeah.
Because we push pretty hard on being safe around here.
Yeah.
And, we all know that there are all kinds of, dark web stuff lurking digitally. And so people try to shy away from that. And we do have some guidelines about it. You can check those out in the show notes. We have our handbook.
Handbook.
Our brand new updated leader handbook in there. They kind of give some parameters for how to communicate digitally. We are not ever saying we don't think you should communicate digitally. Students mostly live in a digital space. Most of our students live in a digital space is what I should say. And so if we're not showing up digitally, we're just not showing up.
Yeah.
So
Can you cliff notes like what are some of the parameters
highlights.
for?
Great. I
Yeah.
love that journey for us. Highlights. Number one, we don't use Snapchat. We don't use any disappearing apps. So if you are communicating with a student ever, it cannot be in one of those apps where poof and it's gone. It needs
Including
to be something.
vanish mode on Instagram.
Yes, which I didn't even know was a thing.
So now you know.
Now I know, right?
You can turn it on and off, and it can get turned on accidentally,
Right.
right? But if it gets turned off, just turn it off.
On social media, we don't follow students first. They follow us first. If a student follows you, you're welcome to follow back. But we
Or
do
not.
Or not. Yeah, exactly. Or block that one. We just want to be safe that way, and we don't want it to feel creepy for students, like we're trying to check in on them. So if they friend or follow you, then you are welcome to make the determination on whether or not you're friend or follow them back. Also, if a conversation gets hefty or personal, we want you to draw another leader into that conversation digitally, right? Whether it's one of the student pastors or your co-leader, if you're a Connect group person or whatever. But don't sit on that conversation by yourself. It's one thing to like throw out announcements to a kid or, hey, what time is the thing? Or even a quick, hey, what's this verse mean? Or can you pray for me? But if the conversation becomes ongoing, it's best to have another adult present in the room,
Yeah.
which in the digital space.
Yeah, so just add someone to the
To the
group
chat.
chat,
Yeah.
and it's just another set of eyes. And if that closes down or stifles the conversation with the student, because it might,
Yeah.
because they might feel comfortable with you, but not comfortable with the person that you're like adding into it.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It is okay. And often, I mean, I think that a good way to kind of navigate that is to just say, hey, I'd love for Nick to jump in on this conversation with us. He understands a little bit about what you're going through. I think he'd add a lot to our conversation. Instead of just randomly dropping your co-leader in, like, let a student know that you're going to do that so they're not surprised by it, and give them a why. And don't make the why because you're talking about personal things and I don't want to do that alone with you. Make it more about what that other person can bring to the conversation. Recently, I was having a conversation with one of our students, and I asked Kaylin to join us in the conversation because I felt like she would have some wisdom on the topic, and I felt like it was important for her to be there. So,
and also it like helped when it started getting more personal.
Yeah.
You followed the guideline of inviting in another
cheers.
adult.
Cheers to the handbook.
Cheers to you. Now, the thing that's interesting that, like you have a unique perspective on this, so it'd be interesting to hear your take on it.
I love how you're saying that. You're really old.
You lived before youth ministry was digital.
I did.
And you've lived through the invention of it, and now on into like where we are today. So
nature of it,
what are the good things about it, and what are the challenging things about it?
I mean, the good things about it, I think, are the immediacy of a question or a problem being addressed, right? So
could be good, could be bad.
Back in the day, you had to pick up a physical phone and call somebody, and maybe you get them and maybe you don't. Maybe you leave a voicemail message or whatever, and maybe you don't. We don't live in that space anymore. Like, students never make phone calls. They definitely are texting or communicating through DMs or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the immediacy of that is both good and bad, right? Good in that kids can get help quickly. Maybe not so good in that kids are not learning how to work through their struggle as quickly, like without support, without extra help.
Yeah.
I would struggle and I would just sit in my struggle for a while until I finally figured it out.
Yeah.
So good and bad. Obviously, you can send all kinds of things on the internet that you shouldn't, and it lives forever. Mm-hmm. So that's not a great thing. So you do want to pay attention to what you post, how you post. Like, you just have to think it through, right? I might have a political opinion on a thing. I would never post that. Not because I don't think it's wrong to post political stuff, like, have a conversation about it. I think that's great. But because I know that there are going to be teenagers who maybe don't agree with my stand on a thing, I would never want that to shut down a conversation before it started. So that can also be a bad thing, but also a good thing because you post scripture verses and you post, positive quotes, and you post atta girls when they do super great in their drama performance or whatever, and those things are all great, right? So I think there's a lot to say for the ability to be in a kid's space without actually being in their space.
Yeah,
that is really, really positive.
Yeah,
but you have to be judicious and you got to be smart about it.
And it doesn't have to just be social media. Like, I think more and more people are less and less active on social media. At least I've seen a lot of that with like me and friends my age. Maybe it's just the like season of life we're in. Like, no one has time to be like active on social media.
Yeah.
But like, I think showing up digitally can also just be like texting.
Yeah.
And like texting didn't exist, right? Even like 15 years ago.
And you definitely couldn't do anything in a group. Right? Like, if you wanted to send something to your whole group, you had to call each kid individually.
Yeah.
Right? So
a kid says, I got a test, coming up, and I'm real nervous about it. It's on Wednesday. You, as a Connect group leader, make a note of that in your digital calendar on your phone or something. And then you text them after school.
Yeah.
Hey, or before. Hey, praying for you. Knock it out of the park.
Or even throw it in your group chat as a reminder for everybody to pray. And then you're also, the byproduct of that is also you're continuing to build community around your kids.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, I think students are less likely to notice, appreciate, or pay attention to a group.
Yeah.
To a group post, to a group chat.
Yeah.
They want something individually. So if you are going to post something in your group me for everybody, hey, Austin, praying for that text, you also want to text Austin individually and do that. But yeah.
I hope he did well on his test.
I hope he did too. Austin, wherever you are, good luck on the test, bro.
But yeah, and I think that's at least my thought on this is like, you don't have to wait for only Sunday morning. You don't have to wait for only Wednesday night like you used to have to. Like, we can
back
show
in the
up
olden days
where students are.
Yeah, immediately.
And that's what we would have done as youth pastors or youth ministry leaders pre-cell phone. We were like at the mall or like at football games.
Or, hey, I got to run these errands to get ready for this event. Why don't you come run them with me?
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Because the handbook says
you got to have at least 2 screened adults who aren't related in the car when you transport a teenager.
There you go.
So, but the digital part of that is still applicable and usable.
Yeah.
So
in summary, basic conversation initiated by a student one-on-one, or it could be initiated by you, like, hey, praying for you.
Yeah.
But if they're like, hey, I'm struggling with anxiety, I'm really like, feeling depressed.
I'm feeling the feels. Yeah.
My parents are getting divorced and like whatever, like that's where it might be a good time, wisdom and handbook to pull someone else into it.
Yep.
But it's definitely not against the rules.
No.
As much as it may feel like it is.
Yeah.
It's not. And in fact, I would probably say it's encouraged.
Yeah, we encourage it. Yeah. We want us to all be doing that, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
So, you ready to hear a story that might be funny?
You got a funny story?
I mean, you'll be the judge.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. I'll be the judge.
You be the judge.
I'll be the judge.
So when I was, again, this is a different day even too, because it was me and 4 students that I took to a conference.
Out of the handbook.
Yep.
Out of compliance.
It was a leadership conference. Of course, all their parents were like cool with it, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was this leadership conference that we went to, and one of the like bits that they did for the groups or whatever throughout the week was they gave these like poster board, but thicker than poster board, cutouts of humans. Right?
Just random humans?
Yeah, like a stick figure, like bathroom person, like cutout. And they handed it to us, and they tied it in, like, dream the perfect, picture of like a leader in your student ministry and like write that out or whatever. And like this is supposed to be like a stereotype. But of course it's youth ministry too. So they're like name it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so we had just gotten back from summer camp, and the topic that year was finishing strong. And so I had talked that week about the 12 tribes or the 12 spies, right?
Okay.
Of the 12 tribes, they go to the land, and like 2 of them out of the 12 really like finished strong.
Yeah.
Caleb and Joshua.
Yeah.
The rest really never to be heard from again. And even like the point I made was like, we still name people Caleb, we still name people Joshua.
Yeah.
But
the
never.
rest of those guys are dead to us.
Yeah. One of the names was Shamua.
Now we name our whales who provide entertainment.
Also, our cardboard cutouts at a student leadership conference. So Shamua went everywhere with us. He rode in the car, and then when the guys that I was with, like, they started documenting it. Like, they take pictures of it, and it was
like Flat Stanley.
Yes, he was at dinner with us. He was like at the hotel pool with us.
This sounds like fun.
And then the best picture. So every time I read in the book of Numbers, I believe it is, I read that chapter.
Do you read that? You read the book of Numbers live?
Yeah, when I read through the Bible in a year or whatever, like I'll screenshot that passage and circle Shamua and send it
to him. I
to
love
Cameron
it.
and Gabe and Caleb and
Nathan.
Nathan.
What a great digital way to keep in touch with them.
But get this. This is the best part. What immediately gets sent back is the picture of Caleb.
They still have it.
Yes, because this picture is fantastic. I'm going to try and find it and put it here on YouTube.
Yeah, I love it.
Caleb going to the bathroom in a urinal from the back.
Oh, no.
And Shamua
in the urinal
next to him.
That's awesome. I love it. Also,
so
weird to
middle school boy.
Yeah, we're going to take pictures in the bathroom, but I think we better crash land this thing.
Hilarious.
Let's crash land it.
Bye.
Love you guys.